Today, you and we're gonna tackle my chore list outside. It's currently 74, sunny, no wind. It's like the most gentle little breeze ever, I guess. It has been a hurricane out here. And so today I'm getting outside. This morning I had to clean a house. I did all my computer work. The next part of the month, like the next 3 weeks, are pure insanity. So I am trying to take full advantage of getting outside, and I thought it'd be fun to take you guys along with. I know there are a few people that watch me that do not live in the country, and it is fun to see a different lifestyle of people that live in the country, have a little bit of land, garden, chickens, just all the things. So I made a list on my phone, and most likely will not all be done. I got a little ahead of myself, but these are things that I need to try to get done within the week. And so I just thought it would be fun to take you guys along with. This is what it is like living out here right now. So dusty. This area is a disaster. Some of it I just brought out, like all these scraps we have to bring to the compost. But they are in your way, aren't they? And then I need to take care of this trash. It's just been too windy, so can't do anything about that. Once a day, any scraps that we have, I put them in this bucket that I keep over here, and then I just carry this down to our compost. A lot of this stuff I would feed to the chickens, and they can hop in the compost and eat it if they want, but really I'd rather these nutrients go back to my garden. And so if they want to hop in there and eat it, they can, and if not, it is just gonna turn into compost. I just put any produce, nothing that could essentially rot, like meat, dairy, baked goods. This is our compost bin, and I just found this idea off someone on YouTube, pretty much copied what they did. There's a few things we need to fix on it. So we have these boards that like stack up to make essentially a gate. But these pieces are coming undone that hold them up, so they often fall down. The way that it works is I put stuff in here first, and I just fill this over 2 months, and then after 2 months I flip it over to this one, and then after another 2 months this bin then goes to this one, and that one goes to that one, and that one goes to that one. Like, they just constantly move their way down every 2 months. And then after the last 2 months, that one can be used on wherever I decide to put it. Now, I will say this is my first year even doing this. We just put this up last fall. And then over the winter, this one we just fill it, and then I let it sit for 2 months once it started getting warm. So I just moved this over on May 1st. Like I said, we just put stuff in there, and then this will fill up with all sorts of things over the next 2 months. This is the one that I just flipped, and we had a lot of mulch in this. I needed to actually water it to keep it moist so it can break down. Like I said, I am new to compost, so there's a lot I'm still researching and learning. This is all going to be a trial this year to see how things break down, things that I need to do different next year, but for now this is what I'm trying. And this bin is currently empty because I will not be flipping this until July. Next on the list, since we're down here, I'm gonna do our chicken chores. Chicken chores are as much as you want them to be, and we keep it pretty simple around here. Basically, every day I collect eggs, if not every other day, but we have an egg eater right now, so I have to collect them every day. And then once a week, we refill waters, and every couple months we like clean out the coop. And this door, we need to fix the latch. I need to use a router to move this thing in. It swells, and then I cannot get it open. We can go through the other side if we can't get in this. Okay, we gotta go on the other side. So I'm inside the barn now, and this is where our chicken coop is. We built this a couple years ago. I think maybe I have a video on it. Not really for sure. But coming up, I'm planning on doing a whole video showing you guys like how our chicken chores work, what we do, cleaning out the coop, all the things. But for today, all we need to do is collect eggs, and then we have some special little new guests on our, well, they're not guests. we have some special new little family members on the farm. So I just need to go in here and grab eggs. And I did waters already on Sunday. So that's all I have to do today. That's Big Head. She is my favorite chicken of all the chickens. When she was little, she had a really big head. Then we have Barbie in here. It looks like we have a few eggs. We have one over here. We have golf balls because, like I said, we have a chicken eating eggs right now. So this is supposed to, like, if they peck an egg, they'd peck that and, like, hurt their beak to get them to stop. It has not worked, by the way. Then we have some eggs over here. I am not going to check to see if there's eggs under her because she is a pecker and she will peck my arm. So here's something that you may not know about me. I'm like slightly afraid of chickens. If they peck at me, I'm like, So if I come down here and need to get eggs from under a chicken, there's a few that I trust completely, but she is not one of them. But for all you chicken people out there, if you have had chickens that are eating your eggs, what are you doing to fix it? Because I cannot get out here every hour to collect eggs. It's just not feasible with my work schedule. Sometimes I'm home, sometimes I'm not. And then we don't have a setup to do like a roll away thing. And I don't really want to change out our nesting boxes. Sorry, a little loud. And then I put the golf balls in there. It does not work. I added extra. They still peck the eggs. I've read about and been told about doing mustard in an egg. Goodness. Which I'm going to try. But other than that, what suggestions do you have? Here are our new babies. Baby chicks are horribly messy. So I could change out this water every single time I come down here, but I truly don't. And then their food, I did decide finally to put in this like box lid because they just pile their bedding in it and then they can't eat it. Now there's more that I do throughout the week with them, and I probably should just do a video on like what we do with our baby chicks. But today, since I have so many things that I want to get done outside, I'm just trying to do like the most simple things with them today. So I'm not going to get them out or anything. Sometimes I get them out and hold them and I tell them that I am their mother. I'm just going to pull out the bedding in their water dish. Tomorrow is when I'm due to change this completely out. And then their feeder, I just have a tub of feed over here and I just fill this up like I said. I come down here morning and then in the evening. And eventually I will have to put a bigger feeder in for them. But for now, they have not been emptying this in one day. There you go, babies. Our garage on the shelf is where I keep our egg cartons. And since we don't wash our eggs, we can keep them out here. And then I sell them so often that they don't last out here long. But we have 6 eggs. 2 of them were from yesterday because I just put them like outside the coop. And 4 of them are from today. Hopefully 2 more at least lay. Our chickens are getting so old. Well, they're like 3 or 4 now. And they're just not laying like a ton. So that's why we got more chicks this year. All right, let me pull up my list here. So we did the chicks and chickens. We took the scraps to the compost. And now I think what I'm going to do next is water trees. So the hose that I'm carrying right now up to the faucet, a girl that I clean for gave it to me, which is like one of the best gifts ever because as we know, hoses are expensive. And it's so funny because she told me you can have it if you take the tote that it is in. And it's what I store it in every winter, so it just makes me laugh. But I'm forever thankful for this hose because it takes a lot of feet to get out to water our tree line. And I really did not want to have to buy one, which I would have if I had to. But I'm always down for saving a buck where I can. This is the worst part of it all. It doesn't matter. It's like a cell phone charger. Like if you put it away nicely, somehow it comes out of your bag completely tangled, or like earphones or something. That is how it is with this hose. I always hide behind the weeds like this. And I lay here until the dust passes, because otherwise you just can't even breathe. And the sun is so bright today. High chances I'm gonna get sunburnt. I have no sunscreen on, but I have to get some color on this body. And sometimes I just have to let myself get a little pink for the first time. But here's our windbreak. They're all little trees. Unfortunately, the deer got to a lot of them this year. I did not get them fenced, and because I didn't get them fenced, the deer rubbed on a lot of them, ate the tops off of a lot of them. We planted the first windbreak 2 years ago, and then we ended up doing another order of trees just because some trees didn't make it. So we got bigger trees, so then we moved out some of the smaller ones, then the deer. So this year we are fencing, we are mulching, but then on top of that, we got hit with winter burn. So where I live, the wind comes in very hard from the north in the winter, and it hits our house directly because we have like no trees in our lawn. First year, the trees that we got were free, and then the ones we needed to replace we paid for, but because they are little, they weren't all that much. I'm just learning a lot of life lessons. If you're planting a windbreak, fence it in if you have a deer problem. As you can see, mostly the tree looks brown, but it has green growth growing in. At like the base of the needles and at the tips. The way it was explained to me is that the tree was not watered properly enough before the winter, and then during the winter it was trying to get water, but the ground was not moist enough, and so then it just like did this, which it's not dead. They said most trees will bounce back, so they decided to deeply water throughout the spring and summer. So now what I'm doing is just watering every single tree for like 20 to 30 seconds. I generally do this twice a week. We're just gonna try to revive these little guys. Really long process. And you just kind of stand at a tree. I do a lot of praying. I do a lot of dreaming and thinking. And sometimes I don't even think at all. I just stand here. The good thing is I get to skip all the dead ones. I stopped inside to get a drink and wash my hands real quick. The trees are done. So now there's another part of our property that has like our fruit trees, and we planted a couple of like big, I don't know, 10 to 12 feet tall maple trees. And what I do is I don't water them all in one day. Tomorrow we'll water the other set, and then later in the week I'll like start over again and I'll do that side. But I also need a drink. LaCroix, this cola one, is so good. Welcome to my garden. Last year I did a whole new method for my garden, and basically I put weed barrier, like that black paper, down on every surface of the garden, and I'm so happy I did because not a lot of weed pressure is coming up. There are a few weeds here and there, but not too bad, which makes me glad because I feel like I'm behind even though I'm not. I truly do not plant my garden until Mother's Day weekend. I have done some cool crops earlier before, and that is not a big deal, but like tomatoes and green beans and all that stuff, I generally wait because I do not want to deal with coming out and covering up my stuff for a hard frost. I feel like I'm behind because some of my friends already have their gardens planted, or at least some of it. As of last year, it was the first year that we did not till our garden. I do let my chickens in after the gardening season to like come in and eat some dead stuff. They till it around a little bit. They poop in here. Other than that, I basically throw all my food scraps in here all winter long instead of putting them in the compost because they might as well be composting off directly where I want them to go. I also put all the chicken poop in here and spread it out. And then something different that I did this year is when I tore down all my plants, I left them in here to compost down. So there's a lot of stuff like this that now that they've composted over the whole winter, I'm not gonna plant like my plants over these. So I need to rake all this out and then put down my weed barrier, and then we can start gardening. Here is my pile of all the stuff that I raked up. So in the past, what I would always do at the end of every gardening season, and this is something I decided to do on my own. This wasn't something I learned or was taught, but in the past, I would always pull every single plant, take every single thing out of here, and it essentially just looked barren. This year, I was like, why am I just not letting my stuff compost off? One, it puts nutrients back in the ground. Two, it's less energy on my work, because if these plants were freshly done, this pile would be like as tall as me. And everything is broken down to basically just the sticks and the stems. So all the leaves have dissolved. You want to know something that is insane to me? I have lived in the country my whole life. My mom has never had a wheelbarrow. And then I live out here now, and I don't own a wheelbarrow. And I always say I'm going to get one, and I never do. I have like a little wagon that I carry, but it has holes all over it. Like, it's the style of it. And then everything just falls out the bottom, and the tires need aired up. So I'm using this tote. It is not wise of me, but usually by the end of gardening season, I am so ready to be done. And I did not do a good job of like keeping all of my garden mats together so I know which ones I used. I know this is one I use for green beans, and I always do 2 of those. So I have those there. And then I always do 2 mats for peppers, and then everything else that I have room for is like cabbages and tomatoes. For the past 2 years, I've done my green beans on this side of the garden, and this year I'm moving the green beans to that side of the garden. I just know this is the thing. You're supposed to rotate your crops. I don't really care why. I just know you're supposed to. So since I have planted the green beans over here the last 2 years, I'm switching my tomatoes with my green beans, and I am planting my green beans now over there. These mats look like this, and they have holes already put in them. Let me make sure this is the correct mat. And on the website that I got off of, they tell you which mat you need to get for what. So this is the one I do green beans in. And I just use these garden stakes, and it's never really fun because there's always a little bit of breeze when I put these in, and they kind of blow everywhere. I got all of my garden mats down. Your time is so important, and you have to decide what is worth your time and what is not worth your time. And for me, weeding is not worth my time. I mean, it's worth it in the aspect of you don't have weeds, but I have finally just decided to spend the extra $30 to $40 on some nice weed barrier paper, and I put that down in my entire aisles. In the summer, first off, I do not like the heat, which is kind of funny because my name is Summer, but I just do not do well when I get really hot. And I also just don't want to spend my time weeding. I'd rather be redoing furniture or going on a bike ride with Jay or doing something fun. And I've just decided that I would rather put in a little bit of extra work to put down the weed paper at the beginning of the year and have my summer to do what I want. Also, we generally go on a trip in the month of July. And so whoever's watching my garden, then they don't have to worry about like my weeds getting out of control. I don't have to come back to a garden that's out of control. And I just put down the weed barrier paper. Last year I got like the cheapest black weed barrier paper I could find. This year I got like not the highest tier you could get, but the one below. So it's called Advanced. And the reason I did that and spent a little bit of extra money on it is because by the middle of the season, with the wind out here, the sun, the heat, just the elements in general, it was starting to tear in multiple places, and then weeds were coming through. I would say it kept 80% of the garden covered, and that was fine. But I thought, you know, for an extra $15, if I could just have complete coverage, that would be great. So we're giving it a go. And then if it does the same thing, next year I can go back to the cheaper stuff. Time is money, and I could be using my time to do like my eBay reselling stuff, going thrifting for that, redoing furniture, doing extra editing for my dad, filming brand deals with him, like so many different things. And if that $15 earns me more money in other areas, then great. There's not really any good way to do this because if I put down the block paper first, then I don't really know where my mats are going. And I guess what I could have done, since it's not windy today, is like tentatively lay down my mats, then put the block paper down, and then pin them. But what I'm gonna have to do is I will just roll this out, and then I'll take out the pins that I already put in. And I always tuck this underneath. So like I said, it's not the most ideal, but in all, this should take me roughly 30 minutes to get this all pinned down. And it's worth it to me to do like this 30 minutes now to save me 30 minutes plus more later. This always looks kind of funny until things start growing, but I got all the weed barrier down. I ended up having to use some of my like lower level weed barrier because I'm trying to save some for when we mulch and fence our trees, which is on my list to do today, but I'm not gonna film it because I want to get that done, get my green beans in the ground. There's gonna be plenty more that I should be filming when I plant, so I'm not gonna be filming when I do the green beans and the fencing because we're only planning on doing 4 trees today because I'd really like to do something like go on a bike ride or just something that I want to do. And then Jay is going to get the rocks out of our grass from when we moved snow. I already did half of them, so he can do the other half. But let me show you what it looks like, and I'm just so glad I've decided to do this for myself. This is what it looks like. So like I said, I cover every single area of this garden. There is a little crack here. The paper didn't quite reach, so I'm probably gonna have to weed that crack. And then over here along the fence line is another spot. I can bring my weed eater in for that and just weed eat that. Other than that, the only thing I ever have to weed is directly around the plant. So like this will be peppers, and then I just have to get some weeds that come in the circle around. Same with around the tomatoes, but I would rather do that like twice a month than have to come weed this every day. I'm gonna call it an evening on the camera. I have just a few more things to do. It is 5 o'clock. I started at 1:45, so I accomplished a lot. I just hope more than anything that this just helps inspire people to be okay with doing things by yourself. I mean, I'm out here doing these projects by myself. My husband works a full-time job, and I'm just have decided I'm not going to wait around for other people. Like, if you want to do it, do it. Second, be okay with figuring out things that work for you, not for anybody else. You don't have to do things just like everybody else does them. I don't know anybody else that puts down weed barrier on their entire garden. And I do it, and it works wonderful for me. So be okay with getting out of the norm and just trying new things. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one.